Welcome to the first day of July 1st, 2022. Your podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than any other news organization in the state. Cowboy State Daily. Sign up for their newsletter and check them out on their Facebook page. Beautiful sunset in southwest Platte County, Wyoming last night. Thanks, Kevin, for sending that photo along. After quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity moved through parts of the region. And that's all part of the holiday weather forecast, as yes, indeed, Mother Nature will provide some of her own fireworks. It's going to be getting warmer across the region, but not too hot. Temperatures will be a little bit above average across the region, but we're going to see the heat tempered a little bit by afternoon cloud buildup and afternoon and evening thunderstorms. We do have some risk of severe weather, especially today. I want to talk about that. And we see a similar pattern holding into early next week, where it's going to just be summertime warm, afternoon and evening thunderstorms in some areas, otherwise sunny to partly sunny. And as we mentioned yesterday, we do see a period of hot weather in the western high plains and Rockies late next week and next weekend, and we'll show you why that's going to happen. Now, here's a snapshot of the radar from late yesterday afternoon and evening. This is out of the Cheyenne, Wyoming radar, and a couple of things to point out. First of all, some really nice rain right here over east central Wyoming and western Nebraska Panhandle. 1.4 inches of rain in the Alliance, Nebraska area, just under 6/10 of an inch of rain for Scotts Bluff. Laramie, finally, the Laramie Valley. Here's Laramie right there. Laramie finally getting well over a ½ inch of rain out at the Laramie Regional Airport. Some areas got more than that. We also saw parts of the Snowy Range and Sierra Madres of Wyoming's southern mountains and mountains in northern Colorado in some spots getting more than an inch of rain. That's great to get the forest areas wet before the holiday weekend. Now, there were winners and losers. This always happens. Cheyenne, which is so bone dry, just under 1/10 of an inch of rain. Look at Wheatland missing out as well. If it seems like when you're in these dry periods that storms and showers go around you, or they tend to split, or you see them going north or south or east or west of you, sometimes that's just bad luck. But also sometimes it's due to the very poor soil moisture in the really dry areas where you're located. The drier the ground, the less water evaporates into the air. That's less for those thunderstorms to work with. And so you need these bigger, heavier rain-producing thunderstorms to kind of get you back into the act, so to speak. And that may happen today, as today is going to be an active day of afternoon and evening thunderstorms again. Here's your water vapor shot showing that stream of moisture really deep into New Mexico and Colorado. Arching back over here, there's a pocket of good moisture here. And there's also a fair amount of moisture up here as well. This little dry slot will kind of go away as the day wears on later today. So we've got that subtropical moisture coming on in, rotating around that high into the Midwest and Corn Belt with the high pressure centered over Oklahoma and Texas. I tell you, this Oklahoma-Texas region right here that I just circled is going to be a real trouble spot here in the coming weeks of a lot of heat. As we go forward, the 500 millibar map is showing a rather innocuous type of setup that's going to stay with us all weekend. Clockwise flow brings up that subtropical moisture. This low off of British Columbia is just going to stall and sit there like they normally do this time of year. And this is going to produce these afternoon and evening thunderstorms. And I'm going to step through the holiday weekend for you. This is where the thunderstorm forecast is. Basically what I'm showing you is where the model thinks thunderstorms are going to be and where the lightning is going to be. So this is just a good indication to show you where the higher density of showers and thunderstorms will be. This is for today. And as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, it's going to be another active pattern in the region. This is mainly due to that subtropical moisture coming our way, but also the cold front that came in with this pattern change is going to cause upslope winds along and east of the Continental Divide. In the forecasting of thunderstorms in the high plains and Rockies, 1 or 2 days after a cold front is always a good time to expect afternoon and evening thunderstorms. It's also the time to expect the risk of severe weather. A lot of research back in the 70s and 80s found out that the second day after a cold front tends to be a day along and east of the divide where the severe weather threat is higher, especially when it comes to hail. And we'll show you that here in a minute. This is where the Storm Prediction Center is expecting the strongest to most severe weather to be today. So watch out in northeastern Wyoming. into Rapid City, up into the northern panhandle of Nebraska, in those yellow areas. This green area right here is the next enhanced risk, but one thing I'm going to do is I think it's going to be further west. I think it's going to get back to the Front Range of the areas around Cheyenne, Fort Collins, Denver, up to near Casper there, Buffalo and Sheridan. That green area where the enhanced chance of severe weather might be further west than the map is showing right here. And that's where the hail risk is today. And you're going to want to take this a little further west as well. So while yesterday's thunderstorms were mainly producing heavy rain, gusty winds, and a little bit of hail, today's thunderstorms could produce heavy rain, strong winds, but I think the hail risk of the hail being larger and more frequent and covering a larger area is especially a possibility in that area that you see outlined there. This is for Monday. Notice the pattern doesn't change much. The high is a little bit further east. We have that low a little bit closer to us, but basically it's a southwest warm flow of warm temperatures and subtropical air coming on in. This is the thunderstorm forecast coverage on Saturday. This is the forecast coverage on Sunday. And this is the forecast coverage on Monday. One thing to point out, by Sunday and Monday, some dry air does get into western Wyoming, Utah, and western Colorado. So I think the thunderstorm risk Sunday and Monday is much lower here. But you get along and east of the Continental Divide, the moisture will be rich enough humidity with that daytime heating to get those thunderstorms going. So hopefully by the time for fireworks displays by Monday evening, these thunderstorms will dissipate. They probably will. But if you're going to be outdoors this weekend, it's going to be a pretty good weekend. It's going to be warm. We're going to have plenty of sun, but you got to be ready for these late day showers and thunderstorms. One thing I wanted to show you, a year ago at this time, the western United States was covered in thick smoke. The latest smoke map shows, I'm not exactly sure where this smoke plume is coming from, but look at the interior west right here. Knock on wood, we're not looking at much in the way of any smoke producing fires at the moment across the Intermountain West, which is a big contrast to a year ago at this time. The smoke you've seen up here in southern Canada is from fires in Alaska. Alaska got a lot of fire activity right now, some of that smoke moving in, but this is certainly nice to see as we head into the weekend. As we go further out, by the end of next week and next weekend, the high pressure ridge, which is sitting basically in this general area right here, is going to move to the west. So you see this little enhanced red circle right here. The center of the high wants to be right on top of western Colorado. So what this is going to do is this is going to bring the heat in to the interior west as we get into late next week and next weekend. Expect a warm spell. Now this pattern also tends to disrupt the subtropical moisture flow. Instead of it coming in, it gets kind of deflected more to the west, but it also ends up coming back into the flow right here. And so instead of the ring of fire of thunderstorms being like this, in this pattern, the ring of fire of thunderstorms comes back further west up into here like this. So do expect late next week and next weekend some heat. However, we don't expect that high pressure ridge to park there. After being around for a few days, it'll migrate back to the east again, and that will open up the subtropical flow. Here's the heat. This is by noon of next Friday, a week from today, so you can see how warm the west gets with that high pressure moving in. However, as I showed you, that ring of fire, the subtropical moisture doesn't necessarily go away. It just gets shunted more to the west and north. And so the heat will be more centered right here and the dryness right here by late next week and next weekend. Have yourself a really good 4th of July weekend. Have a safe one. Watch out from lightning from those thunderstorms. We'll see you on Tuesday.